Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. You're going to have a great time in the next few minutes hearing from really good strategies from some CEOs and entrepreneurs in Arkansas on the Shrimp Tank, where we teach you how to go from a shrimp to a shark in the business world. Hey everybody, welcome to the post-show wrap-up of the Arkansas Shrimp Tank podcast show. We just have finished a great time with Wade and Gina Radke of Galley Innovations and about 5 other companies. We've been focusing a lot lately on married entrepreneurs, and so we spent a lot of time, had a lot of good laughs, just kind of hearing about their successes and the things that they do to make it work together as a couple and the power struggles that can come with that. If you want to hear the entire podcast, go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. You can also subscribe through iTunes, and we're also on iHeartRadio. So we're going to hit some of the highlights now. And David, I think you had the first question.
We had a great show. It was wonderful. If you're ever flying a plane, you just got to remember that these are the folks who made those latches. You know, the little latches on those planes. You know, I was telling them on the podcast that I always think of them when I fly now. But one of the things, Gina and Wade, we talked about was we asked you about advice for a young couple starting a business. And you have this communication technique, this survival tip that you shared. Share with our viewers what that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called soft pitch. So a soft pitch is an idea that you want to share before you have a lot of emotional attachment to it. Because if you get a lot of emotional attachment to an idea before you share it, and then you share it, and then they shoot it down, right. Well, then you're defensive, and you want to argue back your point.
Yeah. And
That's actually a good idea for any marriage.
Yeah.
All right, honey, I'm going to throw you a softball here, okay? Be cool, chill out.
I'm not emotionally invested, but you better answer the way I want.
If you get emotionally invested, I mean, it's hard. It's an argument. Yeah, it's a personal attack.
And you Wade, you shared something else too about it was a really, really good phrase that I want you to share with our viewers so they can listen to the full podcast about what not to do when you're emotional about an issue.
Well, because if you do that, you blow holes in each other's soul. You do not want to blow a hole in your partner's soul.
Yeah,
you don't want to do that because it's just business.
Right.
This is what matters. Your relationship is what matters. But when you're so focused on your idea or your feeling or your emotion, and you will throw some grenades and you'll blow some holes in some souls.
Wow, that's so good.
And Gina, when we got to the shrimp cocktail, the jumbo shrimp, we asked you one, because you mentor a lot of business people. So we asked you, what would be some really good mentoring advice that you would give someone starting up like this? And you had a few really good.
I did. And I told them that unless they want to flip their business, don't take venture capitalists.
Okay.
You want to get free money, and then you want to do everything as cheaply as possible in the beginning, because you don't want to give away equity in your company that you're trying to build. Because what's going to happen is in the long run, you're going to end up buying out, investors, and it's going to cause a lot of heartache. And so just remember that, starting cheap is good. It's the way to go. So and then
staying lean,
exactly.
And then you talked about writing something on a piece of paper.
Yes, so I have a contract that when I work with mentors, I have a contract, and I say, listen, I want you to take out a piece of paper and you write this down. They write it in their handwriting and said, this is going to suck. And not only is this going to suck, but I promise that I will keep going. But this has happened to everyone who's ever been successful before, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm not going to give up. And I tell them, I want you to tuck that away because you're going to need to pull it out several times during your career, your business path, because it's going to suck, And I wish that there was a more eloquent way to put that, but that's absolutely the truth. And you just have to remember that, everyone who's successful has experienced this, and it didn't kill them, so it's not going to kill me either.
Yeah, and I really encourage our viewers to listen to the full podcast and to hear the whole story, because y'all have a perfect illustration of that.
Right.
You persevered through a really tough time.
And George Clooney here. You have to listen to the podcast to get that one.
Yeah, let's see. I think it was Wade who did share a really great phrase about what to keep in mind about mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've learned is that it's win or learn. It's never win or lose, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. You're not going to make every right decision. You might make 100 great decisions every day, but unfortunately, every everybody remembers those two that were wrong.
Right.
You know, they stick out the most, even in your memory. So it's win or learn. It's never win or lose, because there's no such thing as losing if you're learning.
Yeah.
There's cheap lessons and expensive lessons, but they're all lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was cool on the podcast. You talked about how you're both uber AAA personalities and strong, you know, and there have been times where you've had to, you know, wrestle through some things, and you really have come through the fire and learned some great things. And it's just, the podcast's full of great wisdom to share on that. And they promised to come back too, at least twice, because they got 2 books coming out. So
That's right. And by then, I won't have all these stitches on my face.
that's right.
Well, I like we put it out there. Now I feel accountable. We have to
Yeah.
get this done.
Gotta get a title.
I've been telling everybody when they say, "Hey, why do you have stitches on your lip?" I say, "Well, my wife, she just beats me up all the time."
You learn. Good for you. You learn.
Yeah, it's a lesson
That's
to
right.
learn, right?
Yeah,
there's
you blew a hole in her soul, right?
You blew a hole in her soul and you
she
learned.
popped your tip.
Yeah.
Not really. Don't do that.
Right.
No.
That's bad business advice.
Well, Gina, Wade, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Gina, this is your second swim in the tank. Thanks a lot. Thanks
Yes.
for bringing this guy along. We had a great time.
Bring
But
George Clooney with
he's the eye candy for the video.
Now we're going to
In
have all
Little Rock, I'm mostly known as Gina's husband. So
That's
that's
right,
fine.
that's right.
now our viewership's going to go up. Everybody wants to see George. You know?
That's great. That is hilarious.
But for those who want to get in touch, find out more about Galley Innovations, find out more about the mentorship, what's the best way to get a hold of each of you?
It's easy to get a hold of me on Twitter at Gina Radke.
Okay.
Yeah, mine would just be www.galleysupport.com. Just
right.
all our contacts info there. Just reach out and send us an email, however you want to do that.
All right. Well, be sure to join us next week for another great show and another great post-wrap-up video. Until next week, stay safe. Remember, you can catch all of our podcasts at arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. You can subscribe through iClouds or listen to us on iHeartRadio. But until next week, stay safe. And remember, in the business world, before you can become a shark, we all start out as shrimp.